Hey everyone, this is Akayemi, and I'm here because I just want to talk about this toxic type of relationship that many of us have found ourselves in a time or two. And maybe you're one of the fortunate ones who have never experienced a bad relationship. If that's you, congratulations, but that's not the majority. So, some people have experienced so much pain in their past, growing up, depending on the type of parents that they had and the type of caregivers that they had, or maybe even teachers or other family members. And because of that, they usually end up getting into relationships that look like that type of environment, that toxic environment that they grew up. And they may end up finding themselves attracted to somebody that has also had maybe a bad upbringing, or maybe who've had bad relationships or experiences themselves. So, in our reality, the energy that the person who grew up with pain and trauma is going to be emitting off a negative energy. And that negative energy will absolutely attract another person who also emits negative energy. Trust me, we attract that which we are. And so if we're emitting negative energy, we're going to attract the same thing. When you're dating someone, you should stay very aware of these 5 types of behavior or character traits in someone while you're dating. Because let me tell you something, if you take notice of these things while you're just dating, trust me, they do not get fixed in the marriage or the committed relationship. Actually, they'll get bigger. And the reason I believe that they get bigger is because when somebody believes, okay, we're committed now, you love me, or we're married now, then they make it seem as if the person that they're with won't leave them now because they're too far in it. If you decide that you're going to go ahead with a relationship, even though you see these character traits and these behaviors, one or two things is going to happen. You're either going to live unhappily ever after with that person, and the relationship is going to be toxic, and there's going to be a whole lot of issues that's going to come up in the relationship. Or two, you will get into the relationship and it might last for a little while, but the thing is that behavior and knows the way that both of your energy is, y'all will end up abandoning the relationship because you will reach a breaking point. And I believe everybody has a toxic breaking point. And here's the reality: the people that are observing you, whether it's your family members or friends, and it might be family members or friends that have been in very long term relationships, and so they consider themselves the expert. And because of that, they you got to work at it. You got to do your part. You got to, relationships are hard. Yeah, but they're not dealing with the fact that this person is beating your tail or beating you down verbally. They're not willing to have to deal with that in their own stuff, but they're willing to tell you, stick it out. They'll get help. Yeah, you definitely want to steer clear of family members who encourage you to stay with somebody that's abusing you. Steer clear of those type of people. Now, I have had multiple relationships where there was that I actually attracted people to me that had a lot of issues within themselves. And the only reason that I could have attracted them to me is because I had a lot of unresolved issues. I had a lot of abuse growing up. I experienced a lot of trauma growing up. And then at the time that I would have connected with another person, I was emitting all of that negative energy, and they were emitting it as well. And we were like, oh, yeah, this is a great thing, because the two will attract to one another, and that will feel comfortable. And not only that, is there most times people are, I believe, are thinking, you can understand me, you can relate to me, right? But I don't want to relate to somebody that is have all this negative energy like me. I don't want to do that. What I really want is to get myself together and start emitting off a positive energy, because I'm healing. I don't want to attract any more people to me that has a negative energy. And if I am, then I might need to do a little bit more work on myself before I even bother to get into a relationship. So here are 5 top things that you should run from if you're dating someone. And yeah, I would believe that there is one that is like a major one that you really should avoid and run from. But to me, all of them matter, because they all can lead to the worst. Okay. So here we go. Number 1, if you see signs of somebody who is good at, projecting emotional abuse onto you, oh my gosh, get away from them. Get away from them. And emotional abuse has leaves the most deepest scars. And that is somebody that is gaslighting you, or they're making you believe that you are the one that is causing all the problems in the relationship. They will ignore you when you confront them. They won't make space for you when you're expressing how you feel and what you need. They will not make it safe for you to admit or express your vulnerabilities. And not only that, they will, for one, which I can't stand, they will insult something about you, the way you look, the way that you dress. They will always be telling you how you should wear your hair. In other words, they're wanting to control you. So be mindful, and not only wear your hair, is how to dress and who to hang out with and all these kind of things, and make you feel like you're such a bad person because you do a thing. They're just emotionally abusive, and that is the worst. And somebody that curses you or curses at you or calls you out of your name, run from anybody like that, that shows that even in the dating season of your relationship. So stay clear of emotional abuse, because that can lead to something worse. 2, sexual abuse. Now, just because somebody's in a relationship doesn't mean that they won't be sexually abused in that relationship. And that is where somebody thinks that you're their property, and so you should be available for them for sex every time that they want it. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how your day has been. It doesn't matter. It's just that they have all these desires and all these needs, and you now have become their property, and you should give them what they need whenever they need it, regardless of the fact that they just don't have no self-control. And I can understand that sex is a very important part of the relationship, and intimacy is as well. But if you have issues that are unresolved, you need to address that way before you get into a relationship, because somebody may have suffered some type of abuse when they were growing up, and therefore it may be difficult for them to be intimate. But you should see that and know that prior to even getting to a committed relationship or a marriage. Physical abuse is always a no-no. And one thing that I have learned is in growing up is I've watched my mom, suffer physical abuse by her ex-husband and her boyfriend. And that was the worst thing that I could have ever observed. And so physical abuse, even if it happens one time, if somebody puts their hands on you, whether it's a female putting their hand on a man or a man putting a hand on a woman, that is a telltale sign that this person has some serious unresolved pain and trauma, and you are not ready to get involved with that person at all. So run from that and steer clear of it. Now, if you decide that you're going to go into the relationship anyway, and then you get married and all that kind of stuff, and then that abuse starts showing up, okay, work on it, go to counseling. Hopefully they get worked up. But let me tell you something. You'll see the signs before you ever get married to that person. And if that's the case, run from that. They need help, and they need to get that help. And I mean, they need to be seriously in some type of treatment before they ever connect with somebody, because that is going to rear its ugly head in a committed relationship. Somebody that does financial abuse or causes financial abuse in a relationship, and they could be somebody that controls all the money, or they could have maybe the home is in their name, and so they always threatening you about if things are not going right and y'all having an argument, they're threatening to put you out, or they will not give you money, or they will hold all the money. Maybe you don't make as much money, so they really kind of hold that over you, and they abuse you, and they don't give you anything. They're out living their life, they're out buying the things that they want to buy, but you don't get none of that. And they make you, it's almost like they withhold that over your head in the relationship, so you won't feel like you could ever get away, or if you decide that you want to leave, because you are dependent on them. So be very clear about financial abuse. And lastly, people who have family and supports that really seriously interfere with the relationship, or they indulge or impose their ways on you in the relationship. They are co-signing on their adult child's bad behavior. I'm never, I have adult children, and the last thing that I would ever do is tell my adult children who are in an abusive relationship, oh, work it out, stay with them, they'll get better. No. If somebody is abusing you verbally or physically, emotionally or sexually, no, do what you need to do to take care of yourself, because that is going to grow and it's going to get worse as the years go on, unless the person works to, improve themselves. And some people have a problem. All the things that they done went through in their life, and all the abuse and trauma that they went through, and all the pain that they was exposed to, they think that they are doing okay with it. And therefore, just because that they're reacting this way doesn't mean anything, and they don't really need no help. And even if they do get help, some people don't do nothing about it. They don't do anything about trying to improve themselves. So, take the time to really date somebody, and don't even waste too much of your time and years in a relationship when you see these things and these people are not working to fix themselves or get any help. Because once you get married, it is a lot worse, and everything that was showing up then is going to be highlighted after you get married, or start having children together and all these different things. So yeah, that's enough about that, because just talking about this stuff sometimes kind of gets my blood boiling. But anyway, until the next time, good mental health, good spiritual health, and as always, good physical health. Y'all take great care.